Every year, thousands of people around the world report sightings of strange and terrifying creatures lurking on the fringes of their vision, just beyond the reach of their perception. Some call them doppelgangers, others demons, while some simply see them as figments of an overactive imagination. What are these entities that appear to be following, stalking, or even replacing us? Join me as we dive into the unsettling accounts of those who have encountered the unseen, the ghastly specters that haunt the realms between our sight. Our next story comes from Reddit user Molly Weasley, whose doppelganger stalked her from college to adulthood. I won't prove any of this because it happened before I had a cell phone, and I didn't want to tell my mom because she would have thought I was crazy. I was in college and lived off campus with my best friend. I was going home for the weekend and hadn't seen my doppelganger since elementary school. She had blonde hair, wore glasses, and looked exactly like me. I was wearing a red baseball cap and a burgundy-colored jacket. I saw her wearing the exact same outfit, right down to the same brand of jacket. Only hers was red and mine was burgundy. When I got home, I told my mom about this girl and she thought it was hilarious. My parents both have red hair and I have tons of family members with red hair, so they thought it was funny that I had found my ginger clone. But the weirdness didn't stop there. I kept seeing her on campus. She would wear the same clothes as me and sit at the same table in the cafeteria. I would walk around campus, and I would see her walking on the other side of the street or hall. I never talked to her because I assumed that she was a stalker or a serial killer. Then the creepy part. I would go to sleep and I would dream that I was her. It was extremely disturbing. I told my mom about it, and she did not believe me. I was seeing myself. I felt like I was losing my mind. Then the nightmare stopped. Fast forward to when I was 23 years old. I am married and living in another state. My husband and I went to visit my parents. On the way there, I drive past our college town. I jokingly point and say, "Do you think she's still there?" Mom said, "She probably graduated years ago." I guess that I subconsciously wanted to know if she was still there because 3 hours after we got to my parents' house, I woke up from a nightmare that I was back in college and I saw her in the hallway and she was smiling at me. Now I refuse to drive past that college town. User Mopsy added a little bit of clarity to this doppelganger encounter. This was my story and I am Molly's mom. I wanted to add a few things. I remember the day she came home from college very upset because she had seen her doppelganger twice. I told her how I had a friend in high school who had a friend who looked exactly like her. I laughed because I thought it was a funny story. Molly has always been very sensitive, and I should have supported her more. I really do apologize for that. Anyway, I remember her talking about the nightmares she was having, and I remember thinking that maybe it was time for her to see a therapist. I also remember her telling me that she hadn't seen her doppelganger since she graduated. After she posted this story online, I asked her if she wanted me to ask my friend if she knew anything about this doppelganger, and she said yes. So here goes. Her friend's name is Karen, and she doesn't know anything about Molly's doppelganger. However, she does remember meeting someone on campus who looked exactly like my daughter. She says that this girl kept to herself and that she had long blonde hair, always wore glasses, and had this awkward gait. It's interesting because Molly described her as having short or medium-length blonde hair. She never wore her hair long enough to have tied it back, and she wore contact lenses. So I don't know. I thought this might be helpful. Reddit user Eeyore the Pig encountered a creature that seemed to follow him from room to room. It's hard to explain what I'm going to tell you. It sounds insane. I was staying in a hostel. I was the only person in the room. It was an 8-person dorm with bunks. I was in the top bunk. It was late at night and I was the only one awake. I was reading a book on my Kindle. The lights were off, but the curtains weren't drawn. Outside was pitch black. I didn't have my window open, but I could hear rain hitting the glass. All of a sudden, I heard footsteps on the stairs outside my window. I looked outside and I could see nothing. I drew the curtains fully, just to be sure. I opened my window and there was nothing there. I closed my window again and went back to reading. I think it was about 5 minutes later when I heard the footsteps again, this time closer to my bed. I started to get scared and I got out of bed and ran to the bottom bunk and hid there. I was hiding there for a good 15 minutes trying not to make a sound. I had my phone on airplane mode and I was watching YouTube videos on it trying to stay calm. After a while I got bored and went back to the top bunk. I laid down in bed and tried to fall asleep. About 20 minutes later I heard the footsteps again, this time on my window ledge. I was absolutely petrified, and I just screamed at the top of my lungs. I jumped off the top bunk and ran out of the dorm. It was literally a matter of seconds before I got to the door. I locked myself in the bathroom down the hall and I stayed there all night. In the morning after I regained my senses, I went back to the dorm room. I was so scared. I checked everywhere, and there was nothing there. Nothing had moved. Nothing had changed. I didn't know what to think. I ended up checking out of the hostel early and I left. I just couldn't stay there another minute. To this day, I'm still not sure what I saw. I do not want to find out. And finally, we have this story from Dark Bunny, whose ghostly double watches over him. I've seen my ghost at least 50 times. I'm a 21-year-old male. This has been happening since I was very young, at least 8 years old. It's never happened to anyone else in my family. I do not think it as a dream because it happens so often, and sometimes I'll be doing something and suddenly feel a sensation that I can only describe as déjà vu, except it's stronger. Then I'll turn and look and I'll see myself standing in front of me staring at me in surprise. We make eye contact and it feels as though my soul leaves my body. I freeze. I watch as I stare at my surroundings in disbelief and then I come back to myself. Sometimes I ask my question, why? And he points to me and then disappears. Other times I'll feel the same sensation and turn around, and there will be a white outline of myself standing there, and I'll instantly get goosebumps and feel scared for no reason whatsoever. I have no idea what this means or why it's happening, but I'm getting a bit fed up with him. What do you think of these stories? Have you ever seen your own doppelganger? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, then check out more of my content, where we delve into the darkest corners of the human experience and the unexplained mysteries of the universe. Thanks for watching.